relevant as Rhode Island to as important as California, as states as low as Florida to as high as Colorado. So now it's time to decide where you're going to place your money and bet on governors. In California, the most important state of them all, an OPS, Jerry Brown will most likely win because he's a Democrat, even though he looks like a wrinkly old raisin compared to the hot, sexy Neil Kashkari, which looks like a grape. In New York, Andrew Cuomo will win because, again, he's a Democrat against Rob, whatever his name is, because my handwriting's terrible. In Texas, of course, the Republican is going to win. Greg Abbott versus Wendy Davis. In Ohio, a battleground state, which is as flip-floppy as pancakes, John Kashkari is going to be Ed Fitzgerald, despite the fact that his last name is impronounceable. And also he's a Republican. And finally, in the last major state, Florida, Charles Krisky or Rick Scott. We can't really tell which one, so don't bet on that one. Also, in Rhode Island and all the other irrelevant states, it's also it's either who cares or it's wish-washy. It could be either side. So that's the election rundown. Now it's time to our another expert, James.
So campaign costs have risen historically throughout time, and for one reason, because it gets harder and harder to get elected, so naturally the campaigners put more and more money into their campaigns to win.
So you're saying, James, that after the campaign, which started off from something like this, has risen exponentially to the point where you have to make it rain to make it
Yes, it gets harder and harder to become elected.
Interesting point. And you know who can be trusted with your money, your hard-earned taxpayer money. Politicians, of course. In fact, gubernatorial candidate Linda served on Skate School superintendent for 8 years and skimmed, I say, $500,000. From where? Yeah, she stole from money set aside for deaf children. So what'd she spend that money on? Oh, nothing much other than facial plastic surgery. You know, the important medical procedures. She pled guilty and required money laundering and went to prison. And remember, kids, you are too young to vote and irrelevant to the youth and will not do a single impact in this election. But remember, the politicians are trusted, honest, respectable individuals. For example, Idaho 2008 gubernatorial candidate Rex Rommel was arrested and for tampering concerning elk poaching trials and pled guilty. Nebraska Lieutenant Governor Rick Shizley, a married Republican politician, resigned abruptly after using his state-issued cell phone to make thousands of calls to 4 women, going, hey, sexy. Lieutenant Governor candidate Laxov, whatever his name, of Nebraska, resigned and withdrew from the governor race because of a judge issued a restraining order against him, not from a former lover, but from his sister.